Hello and welcome to another episode of Kerbal Space Program Reborn. And yeah, last episode we did quite some things and let's get right into it. Starting off with more important things, which this time we're starting off with the Russian side because not too long after the first satellite launch, around 2 weeks ago in game time to be exact, or in real time last episode, they have already launched their next milestone mission, thus being the Pobieda 1, which carried one cosmonaut above the common line. And as you could see, the ascent went perfectly, maybe a little too perfect, because the crew on the ground found out that their apogee was thrice the height that it was supposed to be, which is a huge overestimate. Therefore, they estimated that this vessel would maybe survive the re-entry with like a 20% chance, and even if that succeeds, there will be absolutely no chance of slowing down, and therefore the vessel is basically guaranteed to crash into the ocean slash ground, and possible save was inevitable. So they obviously knew of this, but the cosmonaut didn't. So they just told him to do his thing, do a first spacewalk, which is all nice for them. We already did that a long time ago. Yet they didn't tell any of this information to the cosmonaut inside the rocket, and yeah, just instructed him to do his basic things and not let him know of anything that's going on, assuming that everything would be fine. Yet, upon re-entry, the fate of the rocket was confirmed. It really survived re-entry, which was very lucky, but now it was plummeting down, and the cosmonaut made a last-second decision to eject himself from the seat to save himself, because it's the last thing he could do. So his parachute did pull off successfully and he could come to a safe landing, but the spacecraft was completely destroyed, leaving only the engine existent. Well, that was an interesting start to the episode, wasn't it? Well, however, lucky for us, that's not gonna happen to us because we're not the Soviet Union. We don't mess up. So we start off the episode with the Prometheus 3 rocket after accepting a few contracts, and yeah, this was slightly modified. Yet by the modified version, the luck wasn't by our side really either, because we did have some problems during ascent, as you can see, but we managed to regain that control and eventually land to our destination in the ocean. And not too much after the Prometheus relaunch, we have got news that connection to Venus 1, or first ever interplanetary mission to Venus, is back with antenna rating. And without hesitating, the flight engineers responsible for this tracked its position and therefore made a safe maneuver node to execute. With only around 4% antenna rating, we still managed to do all of that and eventually even execute that maneuver node we had planned. Obviously this is a huge success for us because this mission has been going on for well over a year, so regaining back control of it with the help of our Corp 4 satellites is really a huge step, and it really shows that launching these Corp 4 satellites really was worth it. So this is a sign in case the same thing will happen to our Mars 1 mission, which is also currently en route to Mars. We can also launch Corp 4 rockets towards it and maybe re-establish connection with it in case the antennas on it are not too strong enough to reach back straight to Earth. But this as a whole was a very huge success, and therefore we are very proud to have finally gained back contact to Venus 1 and know that it's still alive and yeah, hasn't died really. After that burn was done, we realized we did a little of an overburn, which was no problem though because we still had plenty of fuel left, and therefore we could easily fix this with another burn to the retrograde, which for the last time we then ignited Venus 1 engines and let it rest for the next 101 days in order for it to come back to Earth. Because if you remember, we are actually planning to recover the data that's recovered from Venus 1 back to Earth, and not just only transfer it, but only collect it by making Venus 1 re-enter the atmosphere and landing safely. But we have to keep in mind that this will be the fastest re-entry that we have ever seen before, since we're coming literally from another planet, so we will have to be ready for that. But for now, after that excitement was gone, we had one thing to do. The KZ4 crew actually somehow managed to miss their maneuver node and therefore missed the moon and had to do another burn in order to actually get to the moon's sphere of influence, which they did successfully. With here again, as you can see, a little overburn, but that was no problem as we could easily adjust this. So with that maneuver node plan, which is supposed to happen in 7 days in game time, but we're gonna go to that later on in this episode, we're now going over to accept more contracts and launch another Prometheus 3 mission. This time it is really modified again, yeah, because you have to think about it. The contracts are always getting harder and harder, and therefore we also have to modify the rocket itself in order to make it reliable for this contract. And here you can see the problem with untested rockets. As you can see, we did almost end up crashing onto the floor during liftoff, and yeah, we did really go horizontal there for a second. So luckily that did not happen though, and we could have a successful ascent towards the water for us to plummet down, with all the other systems from the original Prometheus 3 rocket working just as fine. And after that was done, I originally still intended to launch our Lunite 2 mission in case you've forgotten. And I've actually, as you can see, edited it and made the real Lunite 2 out of it, out of the old Lunite 1 mission. And I saved it because the launch date was still a few weeks to go. But for now I wanted to do a maneuver note for the KZ4 crew. But my game decided to crash, and therefore we could first of all not do a maneuver node, and second of all not launch our Lunite 2 mission. So I guess we will do that next episode. So for now, thank you guys for watching. I hope this end was not too unexpected, but I hope to see you next episode. Bye bye.